My channel, there are now multiple reports that suggest that Benjamin Netanyahu is now underground to avoid any contact with the protest. 500,000 people came out to protest for a ceasefire deal and bring back the hostages. Netanyahu right now is panicking. But before I tell you exactly what his situation is at the moment, I want to discuss something else. His son, Yair. Right now he is in Miami, Florida in the States, and he is using taxpayers' money, the Zionist money, to pay for his rent, for his accommodation. Netanyahu's son hides in Miami during war expenses paid by Israeli taxpayers, report. This money that he is getting from his own country is illegal, and we know that his father is a corrupt leader. The degenerate government, the Israeli government under Netanyahu, is also facing a lot of challenges and legal lawsuits because of the corruption. And one of the main reasons why Netanyahu doesn't want to stop or end the war with the people of Gaza is because he is using them as a shield, if you like, a political shield, to save himself from going to the prison. So of course this is a pathetic move, but nevertheless, to make things worse for himself, he is now dragging his family into this corruption. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, his wife and his son, both of them will be indicted and charged for corruption for their father. Now, the other reason why Netanyahu right now should be hiding is obviously because of the recent ICC or ICJ ruling, where it is being mentioned clearly that if they find Netanyahu in a country other than the States and some other European countries, he will get arrested. And this is exactly what he is trying to avoid. Benjamin Netanyahu cannot travel to just any country. So if he does flee after he comes out of the underground, then he will have very few countries to choose from. Obviously, we can say without any hesitation that the country for him is going to be US and in Florida with his son. But of course, this is going to give him more panic and make his life a lot more challenging and scary. His future looks pretty glim. He doesn't have much time to live, and we know that he's trying to live it in the open air instead of going to the prison. Netanyahu also went underground when Iran struck in April this year. He went to a shelter. It is being alleged that the shelter was missile proof, and he was hiding in bunkers. This is not something new for him to do so, because he's living in a country where they talk about safety, security, and democracy, but nevertheless, they find it absolutely insecure. The country they love, they cherish, they built on somebody else's land cannot even protect them. This is the reality of it. Now, of course, we have some other news where we have seen that reports coming that Netanyahu was hiding in missile-proof shelter at villa of U.S. billionaire, and this is a report. So U.S. Zionist billionaires, they're obviously going to be sheltering him. He has his minions, American citizen. They do consider him to be a leader of their own, and this is why they give him refuge, and wherever he wants to go, he has all the options open for him. Now, Netanyahu is coming under tremendous fire because of the recent hostage situation. As we know, right now there are hundreds and thousands, as I mentioned. In fact, the number is in Tel Aviv, 500,000. 500,000 people came out to protest Netanyahu's approach to the Gaza conflict. They're now asking him to end this war, because if not, then of course this is going to be the end of any hope of bringing those hostages back home. Now, the protesters set off flares and blocked main roads while chanting slogans against Prime Minister Netanyahu, and they are not giving up. Demonstrations erupted following discovery of the 6 captives' bodies in Gaza, sparking fury against Netanyahu. The IDF, they have claimed that there was an autopsy done, and according to the autopsy, these 6 people were shot dead by Hamas, and these reports must be confirmed, must be verified. Lloyd Austin, U.S. Secretary of Defense, I think, also said the same thing, that these people were killed. One of them is a U.S. citizen by Hamas, and they were executed. In fact, he went one step further, and he said that Israel, the IDF, they must take Hamas to account. In other words, his rhetoric is very clear that Israel, if they do go for another genocide in West Bank, U.S. will support them and back them just like they have done so far. Israeli security forces clashed with protesters using violent force to disperse the crowd. I actually have shared a photo on my community tab how violent the situation right now is in US. Hostages and Missing Families Forum blamed Netanyahu for failing to secure a deal to release these captives. When Lloyd Austin and US Joe Biden administration, they blame Hamas, they should know that the people of Israel, the Zionists, they themselves know better than US politicians what is happening with the hostages. These people, these demonstrators are saying that Hamas is not responsible. It is their government. Netanyahu, he was very, very strong in his stance against the ceasefire deal. So I think it is time for US politicians, especially Joe Biden administration, to shut their mouths and listen to the people of Israel. Is it not what democracy is all about? You have it there. So Israel's largest trade union, I have reported on this too, called for a general strike to pressure government into a prisoner swap deal. And they are going on a strike from tomorrow, and this will affect a lot of their major sectors. For example, banking sectors will shut down, health sectors will shut down, and Israel's main airport will shut down. So this is a huge, a major strike from them. So protesters in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv demanded a ceasefire deal with Hamas to end the conflict. This is something falling into deaf ears of the Zionist Netanyahu regime. Public outrage grows as many Israelis blame Netanyahu for his tough stance on ceasefire negotiation, as we have spoken about this. And in fact, he is actually opening up new front of war. Netanyahu, instead of bringing the hostages back home, he is going for more war. Hamas offered to release hostages in return for end of war and withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, and this is their main reason why they have kept these hostages so far, so that they could negotiate. But of course, with the Hannibal Directive and Netanyahu's stubbornness and arrogance, nothing is happening for the hostages, and they remain in Hamas's captivity. Netanyahu remains firm on continuing his military operations until Hamas is destroyed, despite public pressure. Yeah, good. He can go on with his stubbornness, his arrogance, but then the people of Gaza, they have paid for it. They're paying for it right now, but now looks like the people of Israel, the Zionists themselves, are going to be paying for it as well. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing.